So after using this ALR screen from Elite Screens, I realized how important it is to have the proper screen as well as a proper projector for your room. So Elite Screens sent this Aeon 110-inch CineGrey screen for me to review. Let's check it out right after our show sponsor. So this came in the mail and it was in a relatively compact package, which I appreciate. And so I had to go through the setup process, and let me just say that it wasn't the most painless thing that I've ever done. It did take a while. I'm saying like maybe around 3 or 4 hours. And the thing that took the longest was actually putting in these like little washers, and that just took forever because there were a bunch of them, over 100 I believe. And also the springs, you had to do that for each one. Also there were grommets, and so the whole process was not that fun. So Elite Screens, I hope you listen to this and in the future you make it so that it is a little bit easier for people to put together. I've seen other manufacturers that do this that have found ways to make it just more streamlined and simple to put together. So before this, I had a plain white screen from Silver Ticket, and it was fine. There was no problems with it, and actually that one was a lot easier to put together because of the way that they have it set up. You can take a look at the back here, and you can see that it's much different from the way that this one is set up. So one of the things that I noticed when I took the old one down and put up this new Elite Screens one is that the bezel is much smaller on this one, which means that for the same amount of space, the other one was 106 inches and this is 110. The other thing that I noticed was the Elite Screens was much lighter in weight, and so I appreciate that. The other thing is that my room here has a lot of ambient light coming in. This is not a dedicated home theater setup, and so it's hard to really black it out completely unless I'm watching movies at night. And so because of that, we're watching stuff during the day many times, and it's really hard to see it on that plain white screen. So really what I needed was something like this screen, an ALR, which stands for Ambient Light Rejecting Screen. This one has a higher gain. It has a gain of 1.2, which means that for the light that's coming in, it's actually reflecting more light. I know that sounds kind of weird, but that's actually what that means. And so 1.2 gain and the ambient light rejection really helps when you have lights coming in from different sources, whether it's lights inside or from daylight. They also sell an optional backlight, which I did not get. I just prefer not to put on any extraneous lights if I don't need to. I definitely wouldn't use it while watching a movie. Although I think it looks cool, it's just not something that I would use. Maybe my kids would like it, but yeah, for me, I'm okay without having it. But if you're into that sort of thing, they sell it. So as far as hotspot and sparkles, that's something that you have to be careful of when you're using a higher gain screen. I didn't notice very much of the hot spotting until I started doing some recordings with the camera here, and you were able to see a little bit of vignetting where it was a little bit brighter in the center versus the edges, but that's not something that I noticed without looking via the camera. And also as far as the sparkles, I did notice a little bit of that, but it's not something that would bother me. I mean, nah, I would gladly have that as a trade-off to a brighter and more vivid picture rather than a dim picture without sparkles. People are always looking for the maximum brightness, but a lot of times what you really want is you're looking for contrast, right? And so if you don't have good black levels, no matter how bright that image is, you're not really getting a good contrast ratio. So if you can get the darks to look as dark as possible and the blacks to look black, then that will help you get that sense of contrast. And that's what this screen definitely helps to do. Now these screens range anywhere from 84 to 150 inches, so you can find something that works in your space. So anyway, here are some examples. I am using a BenQ HT3550 projector. So that projector is actually made more for a dedicated home theater room, and so it's only about 2000 lumens, which is decent, but not great if you have a bunch of ambient light. And so here are some examples of the images with the HT3550 on the plain white screen versus this Aeon CineGrey 3D screen from Elite Screens. It's a lot of screens. So what I found is this is very useful for my particular use case, and I think anybody who has a projector in a room where you can't really control the light. And so you have to make sure that the angle that you're viewing it at is very similar to the angle that the light is coming in. So if it's coming in through this angle, it's going to bounce back, and that's the optimum viewing angle. So if you start getting real far off axis, either horizontally or vertically, it's not going to give you the optimal picture. And so just keep that in mind. You're going to want the projector placed properly. So overall, I really like the look of the screen. I like the small bezels. I think it looks a lot cooler than having something with large bezels on there. And so I think it looks great. It helps me get a better picture during the day. And even with the lights off, I haven't found that it looks worse, right? So a lot of the complaints would be that maybe the color accuracy or the highlights are not as bright, and those are maybe true, but not something that I noticed. Everything still looked good. It was a neutral gray, so all the colors look good, and I'm very sensitive to that sort of thing. So overall, I could easily recommend this. I hope that they make the process of putting it together simpler. That's my only gripe. But overall, thanks to Elite Screens for sending this out to me review. And that's it. If you like the video, make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. And once again, to my Patreon supporters, thank you for supporting me and allowing me to do what I do here on YouTube. And if you want to become a patron, patreon.com/JoeAndTell. Anyway, that's it. Take care. Bye-bye.